Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from Relationship Advice. Our first post is by Throwaway, I, 26M. Threw my pregnant girlfriend, 22F, out because she refuses to pay rent or her share of the bills. Long story short, my girlfriend and I have been living together for around 10 months. When she first moved in, she insisted on paying rent, and I was reluctant to charge her if it didn't work out, but she forced it and paid a month. Then I found out she's struggling for money, unable to pay for things, is in a lot of debt, and lives month to month. She agreed with me that she'd start when she clears the debt. Fast forward to Christmas, I find out she's been stealing my clothes to give to her family as gifts. Another post on here. She lied for 2 weeks, blaming me, until I showed her footage of her taking the things from the camera in the living room to watch the dog when I'm out. I later then discover through letters and texts I've seen appear on her phone she's been doing nothing to pay any of it off. So I confront her. She tells me and shows me messages that her mother and sisters constantly guilt trip her into giving them money, and have for years. They'll message her on payday asking for it, and she feels bad saying no, despite none of them ever paying it back. Her mom alone owes her over £6,000. She has taken a ton of loans out for her family, and they leave her with the debt and don't pay it back. Luckily, her credit is now at the point where nobody will loan to her, but she still tries and does it for them. I also find out, I went through her finances. Yes, I shouldn't have, but something wasn't adding up and I was being lied to, that in the space of 20 minutes she spent £300 on gambling sites. All during this time she isn't paying a penny towards rent, bills, anything. She'll occasionally buy food shopping or trips out to Starbucks. I tell her enough is enough and she needs to start paying her way. If she can give handouts to her family and gamble, she can pay for where she lives, and she's taken me for a ride when she should have been saving and clearing debts. I make roughly 5x what she does, but I've been fair in that the bills are split proportionally to income. She'll earn £1,400 per month and pays £600, which includes rent and her share of the bills. I take on the rest, which is substantially more, but I believe it's not fair to take more. On the 1st of this month, she tells me she can't pay rent. She says she's paid out too much on our trips to Starbucks, food shopping, and I'll get it when I get it, but she doesn't understand why I need it this month, when she's lived for free the past 9 months anyway. I've asked her to explain where her money has exactly gone, but she tells me I'm controlling and it's none of my business. In fairness, she will pay when we go food shopping, but rarely in comparison to me. I've kicked her out as of yesterday and told her she needs to find somewhere to live. She is, however, pregnant, and she's using that card as a way to guilt trip me and make it out as that I've thrown out her and my child onto the streets. In my opinion, she is taking me for a ride and prioritizing her family that is using her over her own family she's started. What's the solution here to getting her to see she's not treating me fairly? Update. I sat her down and gave her an ultimatum early last week. I explained to her that we are a family and became a family when she decided to have a baby with me. I told her if we're going to stay together, she's going to have to be a lot more open, contribute, and no more taking on debt she can't afford, which brings it to my door when she can't pay. I also told her I want to see her bank statements because I suspect she has a gambling problem and is in some serious debt. She agreed to all of this and committed to showing me the bank statements when I ask, and says going forward she'll pay towards bills. I believe she's turned a corner and start getting along with her better, and she moves back in. As I was sat next to her phone last night when she went to grab a drink, her phone lit up with a text message. It read, "Loan accepted by X lender, click here to accept." I immediately called her out and she starts crying, telling me she has no money left again for the month, and she's had to resort to payday loans for some money. I tell her she should have come to me and tell her I explicitly said no more loans. She also tells me she won't be able to afford to pay towards bills again. She works full-time and brings home around £1,400 to £1,200 a month dependent on hours, but a lot of the time she phones sick, so gets sick pay, which is a lot less. I asked to see her bank statements and she refuses, telling me I'm being controlling by asking when she's told me and I don't need to see them. That's the last straw for me. I'm almost certain she's been giving it away at this point again, or gambling. I give her a scenario. Your baby is starving and needs food and there's none in the house. What are you going to do? She replies, you'll have to pay. That's fine, I'll happily support my son, I tell her, because the mother is clearly a deadbeat. So I asked to see her Facebook Messenger to see if her family have been hitting her up for free money again, and conveniently all of the family members that borrow from her have the chats cleared. She says she deletes them to be tidy, yet mine's still there. I told her this isn't going to work, and she tells me I'm a controlling freak basically, and she agrees, and I've not heard from her since. Moral of the story is she's too damaged from her upbringing, I'm guessing, and some people you just can't change. She still messages me asking how I am, but I'm just ignoring her, except from anything baby related. I need to move on. I know a lot of people questioned whether she's pregnant, how steated I was to get her pregnant, I agree, and if it's mine. I've been to every scan, so I know she's pregnant. As for if it's mine, I've never suspected cheating, but she's a serial liar, so I will be forcing a DNA test through the courts. I posted on a couple of different subs to make sure I wasn't getting biased opinions. The above story is 100% true. I wish it wasn't, believe me, but my focus is now getting as far away as possible from her for my own sake. Our next post is by Throwaway. My husband, 36M, a university lecturer, told me he has feelings for one of his students. I, 35F, am crushed. Is there any point in pursuing more answers, or do I just move on? My husband, 36M, and I, 35F, have been married 7 years. He teaches English literature at a university, and has done for a few years now. 4 weeks ago, he sat me down and took my hands. I was immediately scared by the look on his face and asked nervously what was wrong. He explained to me that he was resigning from his job, and when I asked why, he told me it was because he had developed intense feelings for one of his students, a 19-year-old. I felt like someone had knocked all the air out of me because I just sat gawping at him for what felt like ages. After that, there were things I needed to know. My main question was whether he had ever acted on his intense feelings and put this girl in danger. He was quick to defend himself and told me nothing like that ever happened, and everything he ever felt had never been acted on. He said that was why he felt he had to leave his job. He apologized to me over and over, but all I could do was sit in silence, staring into space. I was far too numb to even process my own feelings or communicate them to him, but pretty much knew in that moment I needed space, and that our marriage was over. We have a second home on the outskirts of the city, which is where I went, and have been staying ever since. We have spoken a bit over the phone, and I expressed wanting a divorce. While upset, my husband agreed and apologized to me for what he'd done to us, and since then we have not spoken. My husband told his parents about the situation, who in turn told mine, and now everyone seems to have the full picture and are all giving their opinions. Most people side with me in my decision to pursue divorce proceedings and have given amazing support, but some feel I'm being unfair. Their argument is that by leaving his job, my husband is trying to do the right thing, and he didn't pursue anything with the girl, which we only have his word on. However, they are 100% the loud minority, and their opinions don't hold weight with me. I also spoke at length with the head of the university almost immediately after I found out. It turns out my husband confessed his reasons for leaving his job, and they are in the process of conducting their own investigation. I just want the best for the girl involved. I already have a lawyer, and so I engaged with them to put some things in motion. I plan on going through my lawyer for all the stuff involving contact with my husband because right now I feel sick even seeing him. While at my therapist, I expressed my need for closure and further answers, because I'd felt so numb to ask very much and still felt in the dark. She agreed it might be a good idea to speak with him, even if it's over the phone, to obtain that closure. So that's where I am right now. We're getting divorced, and for now I'm good with not seeing him in person. However, I do have a burning need to ask more questions, such as how long he had felt that way towards his student, and how deep those emotions had been. Not only that, but to express how I feel now some of the shock has worn off. Do you guys think that would be a good idea, or should I move on without pursuing these things? My mother in particular feels I'd only be setting myself up for more hurt if I did that, and I'm torn. Thanks all. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.